recording going here, and let's see where we are.
Well, where we are is I'm kind of working through, just continuing to work on two things, Vincent and Here Comes the Sun,
Okay.
and doing both of those because I just want to uh, something on the finger picking side, something on the
Sure.
flat picking side, and so that's continuing to work on different things. And I find myself, and that's kind of my subject for today, or my goal for today. I find myself going back to other things to see if I can now play them better, as it were, or
Okay.
they're more doable than they used to be. And it turns out that they are, for the most part. I guess that's
Perfect.
obvious, or should be. But anyway, that's what I've been doing. I've been going back to different things. And so what I wanted to do was to uncover two new things to start working on.
Okay.
One on the finger picking side and one on the flat picking or strumming side.
Okay.
That and particularly since I'm still, I think I told you I'm reading the at least in the iPad version of TuneIn, which is the story Mark Lewinson and the Beatles.
Oh yeah.
It's 4,000 pages, and I'm now on page 2,500, and they've just hired Brian Epstein, and so
Ah,
that's the stage of development. Ringo's not on the scene yet.
right.
Still Pete
Right.
Best, and I mean it's fascinating. I mean I'm really enjoying it a lot. But
Yeah.
and they're still at this point they're still doing other people's songs. There's barely a Lennon McCartney. There's like I think one or something in the
Yeah.
mix.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
And
early,
have they lost Stuart Sutcliffe, the bass player?
yeah, they lost
Stayed,
Stewart.
stayed in Germany, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the last thing in Hamburg, they lost him.
Right.
He and Astrid, and they just, it's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
But Epstein obviously saw something there that I don't know how Ringo's going to get in the mix. They talk about him all the way through. I mean, I know what he's doing. He's playing for Rory and the Hurricanes,
Right.
and they've just finished one of their summer camp deals at it's someplace called either Butlins or Buntlands in the over towards Wales somewhere. They've done this thing, and Ringo
Ah.
knows that he's a better drummer than they are a band, and
Yeah, he's
he,
definitely got an ego.
yeah, he's trying to figure out how to advance himself, but poor Pete Best, who's not a good drummer apparently,
Right. Right.
but apparently right now his mother, Pete Best's mother, who was very involved in the whole deal, as a sort of a manager, and she ran the club in their bottom of their house.
Right.
Yeah, it sounds like you probably read this, but
I haven't read that, but I know a lot of the backstory, and I've read
oh,
other books of Mark's. Like he had the recording. Anyway, he had all kinds of books about how they recorded various things and stuff like this. This one sounds like it's a little more
okay,
narrative of the history rather than a documentary of what they recorded every day and things like that. But
yeah, okay.
yeah,
The but the interesting thing is that Mona, Pete's mother, who was involved enough that they thought, that Epstein thought there might be a problem when he gets signed on as the manager, because she was doing a lot of the booking,
right,
I guess. But fortunately, she she she's just become pregnant by their road manager, Neil Aspinall.
Aspinall, yeah,
Aspinall, right? And so
wow,
it's like a self-solving problem. And
right,
I'm trying to imagine, Pete Best working with Neil, who I guess it all worked, but Neil's sleeping with his mom, and it just sounded pretty.
oh yeah,
It's pretty crazy. But anyway, long story. That gets me around to, I was hoping to find two things, one flat picking, one finger picking in the Beatles world
okay,
that are things that I'm going to know musically in my brain
Yeah.
that I can
Yeah.
move along to. So
Okay.
I'm looking for suggestions. I'm looking
Okay.
for.
Yeah, there's only about 250 things to choose from, so
All right.
I'll see what I can do. But like one of the songs I have people work on for flat picking that will be different than Here Comes the Sun. It's not nearly as complicated as Here Comes the Sun. I got a couple that are running through my head right now, but I use Norwegian Wood a lot of times. Let me give you a little better view of my guitar here. As kind of a almost bluegrassy flat picking song where it's a very simple chord progression and stuff like that. But what we're trying to do is pick out the melody. That's basically all there is to it, is just picking out the same melody that the sitar plays and that the vocal part is while you're strumming a D chord, more or less.
Right.
And you wouldn't do that in the other section. Like if you were going to play this or sing it, you would just really do. Then you come back with that melody again. And when I teach this to people, where it's I'm going to digress for a second, but interesting what you brought up about revisiting old songs and being able to get them back in pretty good shape fairly quickly, and then even progress with them beyond the point where you had them when you left them months or years ago.
Right.
I've had students that have taken lessons from me for 30 years sometimes, right? And people say, how could somebody take lessons from you? How could they not know everything you know in 30 years? I said, well, there's a lot to music, trust me,
Yeah.
And I'd say, and there were a lot, how could I have enough songs to keep them busy for 30 years? And I tell them, most of the time I'll start people on songs that are going to be challenging for them at a few different levels. And most of the time, this one will not be too challenging for you at most levels, but I did some pretty fancy embellishments on some of those notes there a second ago, as I was playing the melody, hammer-ons, pull-offs, things like that to dress it up. And that would be kind of the level I think you'd be at, whereas I would teach a beginner to do it a little straighter. I'll get back to that in a second, because I'll finish the story here of many times my student Bob, who now lives up near Chico, he lives in Mount Shasta, moved away about 10 years ago, but he was somebody that was with me for over 30 years. And it wasn't uncommon for us to look at the same song 5 different times, 3 years apart, and get something else out of it every time, as he progressed. And so it's kind of the same thing there. It's kind of, on one hand, you sometimes think, oh, I'll never get that song back. I spent 6 months trying to get it down. I haven't played it in 2 years. And it shouldn't take more than a week or two to get it in pretty much the shape it was in 2 years ago when you left it, after you'd spent 6 months on it, because obviously your skills and everything have improved, Yeah. So anyway, the very simple version I teach a beginner of Norwegian Wood. First of all, it's just in the equivalent of 3/4 time. We might think of it as 6/8 or 12/8. None of that really matters, but it's in threes. So if I was just going to have somebody strum it and play it with a pick, not even play the melody, it would just be this. Just keeping a little simple 3-beat strum going.
Right.
But then we work in the melody where every measure either has 1 melody note in it or 3. If I'm singing it, it'd be do, 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 do. So if I was just going to play that melody, it'd be 3 beats. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right, so every measure either has 1 melody note in it or 3.
Right.
And so the simple version of this, if it only has 1, you just play that melody note and strum the measure. Like that. If it has 3, like the next one does, you just play those 3. And now the next one has 1 again, so you're going to hit it and then strum. Next one has 3 again. So here's the real simple version with less narration. Okay, so that's kind of like the skeleton version.
Okay.
And then the next step of dressing it up is in those measures that have 3 notes in them. After each one of those, a small up. So now it's a little more complicated on the right hand because you got to hit those bass notes and then get a small up after it and fit it all in.
Okay.
And then again, the way I played it before, I really decorated the melody with hammer-ons or hammer-on pull-out like trills coming up right after that. Now that was pretty heavily embellished, but it was all left-hand stuff now, quick hammer-ons and pull-offs and things like that to make it fancier. So, okay, so with this recording now, you should have enough information to figure out how to play that whole song.
Okay, well,
we can't talk about it anymore. No, I don't know. So I spent 5 minutes kind of giving you a sales pitch on Norwegian Wood, but what do you think?
Yeah,
okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
Another really cool strumming one, though. I hate to show you door number 2 now.
Okay.
But it doesn't have as much different stuff in it than that, but it has a very hard lick at the beginning. Just that little thing, picking those notes out. The rest of it, you would just strum it. If you break my heart, I'll go, but I'll be back again. Anyway, it's called "I'll Be Back."
Yeah, sure, in the song, yeah.
But there really isn't much else to do except play that cool little lick at the beginning.
Right. Okay.
So,
okay.
And so back to Norwegian Wood though. Before that what is going on is everything with Vincent and Here Comes the Sun moving along pretty smoothly?
Well, yeah. Let's see. I'll take those in that order. So Vincent, the timing and all the Vincent, and I'm looking at this to see where the little part of this is my remembering everything. Well, I'll tell you, I'll play a little bit of Vincent here, and okay. I'll have to get myself warmed up. I feel like I'm okay. Let me go here.
Quick gear change here.
Huh?
It's a quick gear change from everything else we were just talking about.
Right. Yeah.
Uh,
I know that's E minor there.
okay, good, good.
No, I know that. I just,
Yeah. Okay, okay, good. Is that about as far as you've gone so far?
yeah, that's as basically.
That is really good. A couple little places where, I mean, you're doing a really good job of keeping the timing. All the notes are coming in the right places. Some of them can be a little bit cleaner, but where you hear every once in a while it didn't quite get to one or something. There are about 2 or 3 places where I want you to think about one specific note. In about the third measure, when it goes from A minor to C.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the A minor, like you hammer on the C towards the end of the A minor or something, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Go do that part one time. What I want you to try to do there is leave that C on when you go to the C chord. Keep it ringing until you have to take it off because it becomes an open B in the middle of the measure.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, I see that. I see that. Okay.
Try that. See if that makes sense.
Yep. Oh.
That's it. That's the spot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Okay, I get it. Okay, let me try that again.
And now it comes off.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, now it comes off.
So it doesn't come off till then. Hang on to it all the way until you have to play it open.
Okay. Let me try that again. Okay.
This is gonna be hard. Trust me. Yeah.
No, it's all the way.
That's the idea. It was one more beat later, but that's that. Okay. Anyway, that's the idea. So that's what you want to sound like there. Okay.
Okay.
Keep that C ringing.
I get that all the way to there. Okay.
Yeah, and then a lot of the other A minors are followed by D7, right?
Right.
And you did a really good job on those D7s, putting your fingers down in the order you need them. Usually you need like the 3rd string first and then everything else. So I really like the way your left hand's moving in there.
Right.
And I think the D7 that goes to the G, I know what it is. Because you have the note G at the end of the D7 measure before the pinch on the G chord, right?
Yes.
And you did a really good job there, because one of the things that's difficult about that is putting your 4th finger on the G and then reaching down to the low G in the bass without your 4th finger leaving there.
Right.
When I'm teaching somebody a G chord, and they come back after the first lesson and say, I just can't make my fingers do that, and they're trying to put this finger down first and then reach their 3rd finger down to the bass, I say, don't ever try to do it that way until you're like an intermediate player, because you got to put the bass note on first and then get your 4th finger down, because as soon as your 4th finger's down, your 3rd finger is almost paralyzed.
Right.
But you did a good job making keeping those kind of independent and stuff.
Yeah.
Let me hear the whole second ending again.
Yeah. Okay. Let me
actually run through the whole verse again, like the second time, and just go into the second ending.
Okay. Do the whole verse and go into the second ending. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there's one more thing. Yeah, okay, that's all. That's great. So that was really just you're doing everything right in there. Go ahead into the chorus now again. Keep going from right where you were, because I think I had one little comment on that.
Okay.
So that's a D7 chord, right?
Yeah.
And this one, your fingers have to go down in a different order than they did the last time because you need that high F sharp first.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
And you got to get D in the bass then, right? Got to make sure you play the fourth string in the bass right there. You know, so I would right there, I'd probably try to put that whole D7 chord down all at once. I mean, this is an easy enough spot to just slap the D7 chord on, even though you don't need it all yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So that your brain is in D7 mode rather than this finger, that finger. So a slight change.
Okay. Oh, I'll try that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was good.
Good. And then you're at the E minor where you just, yeah. Yeah, so the last little thought on that. So I think with both of those D7s, since they're coming from A minors, first of all, you already have your first finger in the right place.
Yeah.
Something else. So make sure you hang on to that when you're going from A minor to D7. Yeah. So, as you know, I kind of preach having your left hand work in the order you're going to play the notes.
Right.
And for everybody, that's kind of a new thought rather than just getting the chord down and then picking out the notes,
Right.
But there are times when it's just as efficient, if not better, to go ahead and put the whole chord down. And then you have the option of changing even the picking around or something like this. And since all these chords are fairly normal and easy, that's a time, I think most of the way through this song, I'd be slapping the whole D7 down at once because it's almost always coming from either a C or an A minor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get that. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, that's looking really good.
Okay. Okay. And I switched out the E minor for a G just simply to resolve my one page.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was doing there.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Back to the Beatles here. Here comes the sun.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see what's happening with that.
This is a switch here. Bring this down here. I'm at the 5th fret. That seems to work for me.
Sure. A little more finger space, right?
Yeah,
there.
and for whatever reason, the angle of everything, seems to work. I mean, I could probably move Vincent up a couple of frets and probably.
That might make it. Yeah. I would. The 2nd fret would probably be as far as I would go with that, but that would be totally reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 2nd fret, and just simply because of how the song is sung, or what?
Yeah, when you start getting in the vicinity, especially when you start getting in the 4th and 5th fret range, it changes the whole tone of the guitar. It's like those G chords are. See, Here Comes the Sun revolves in around D, which is a really delicate, light chord. G is a thicker, heavier chord, right? So you start playing songs in G way up the neck, and they completely lose their character, or it's different. Like one of my students yesterday was working on a song that's capoed at the 7th with G as the chord. And it makes that G chord sound like a D chord in terms of like normal world. It was only really a C right then, but it was still, anyway. But it was, and a song like Here Comes the Sun, and if you play it uncapoed, you realize that something's wrong because it doesn't have that mandolin sound that we hear on the Beatles album. So far up there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
So 5 is a good compromise, I think. With this.
Okay. other parts. Yeah, that was pretty rough. I can do.
Well, you know what though? All the moves you're doing are right. You know, I mean, your right hand got tangled up with just a little bit at one point, but
Yeah.
but you're always shooting. You're hearing where the melody notes are supposed to happen, and you're always aiming for them. And sometimes you get like maybe that note plus another couple strings, or miss it by one string or something. Don't even ever worry about that, because that's how George's would come out if he was playing it. It would not always be pinpoint accuracy for what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really good, and you definitely got a better feel for that da 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 da, the 3/8 note.
Oh yeah. You've been working on that. So let me try it again. I'll roll through my what I'll call the demonstration version, where try to do all the other elements here. So
okay.
This is my arrangement for that. So
okay.
No, that's terrible. Okay.
Yeah. All of that is looking so much better, especially that getting to the E chord, the note that you got to hang on to coming from the G. Remember, that's looking really good. So the one thing that doesn't happen in your demo version though is this.
Oh yeah.
And then cycling through that.
Yeah.
So you've got the F thing, but the way it gets into it the first time in the song is you need a measure of D, right? 2 beats of A7, and then those 3 notes.
Right. And yeah, I just simply forgot to write.
Okay.
Okay. It's yeah, that actually is a timing issue. Okay.
So no, it's before that.
Yeah.
So just 4 beats of D and 2 beats of A7. Don't do anything fancy. Just strum a D for 4 beats and A7 for 2 beats.
Right.
Start the hammer on.
This is the part where
Wait, right. The first one was open. Yeah.
Okay.
two little things, or a couple little things.
Yeah.
That first thing should be a hammer-on from open to the 4th fret. Don't hit that note at the 4th fret.
Oh.
So it's just a hammer-on from A to C sharp. Then you hit the E with your first finger. Then you start the F stuff. Okay?
Okay.
So I would do all of those as downs. Well, the hammer-on will be a down.
Right.
And then the next note could either be a down or an up, but you want to start the F part with a down, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't really matter on the E whether you want to do that. Oh, I would do it as a down, because when you hit this 5th string to do the hammer-on, basically the pick is now sitting on the 4th string, ready to play the next note. So I'd hit it with, and then I have to do 2 quick downs from the E to the F. Try that once.
Okay. Okay. So
C sharp.
This is a hammer-on. Okay, that's
right. From open. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your 3rd finger to the F.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, right there at the end, go ahead, do it one more time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Now, the very last note, the D that you play at the end, I'm sorry, after the 2 G ones,
Right.
hit that as a down as well. Don't, even though, so break the pattern, because the next thing you're going to do after that is strum the D chord, right? But more important, that D is the first beat of our 4 beats of D. So you don't hit that D and then strum 4 beats. We've already hit, the D is the first beat.
Okay.
So when you start that measure, so anyway, it's going to sound like this. You got to think of that as beat 1. When you get to that D, that's also why to hit it as a down, so that you kind of get reoriented with where you are rhythmically, because we're sort of disoriented with what all has just happened as far as where the beats are and things like that. Okay, so so you think about these 2 notes on the G. That's what I mean. You really only think of 3 notes for each chord for the last couple of things, right? We had an F chord, we had a C chord, had a B in the bass on a G chord, and then you tend to think there's 3 more notes. You want to think of it as 2 more notes. That's the end, and then the D is the beginning of a new measure. We're back at the beginning of the whole thing now.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. So see, it's that's where you get reoriented, is on that D in the bass. It's beat 1.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So it's. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the timing. Yeah.
That's it. You get the math now in there?
Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay.
Good.
Okay. But this has to be a.
Right.
Got to be on the time though.
Yeah.
But when I hit that, coming out of this,
Yeah.
when I hit that D, am I just continuing on, or am I just hitting the D?
Just hit the D. So
Just
on the first beat, only the bass note D, and then strum the other 3 beats.
The other 3. Okay, so it's, yeah.
Yeah,
Like that, right?
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So even when you start that part, if you're going to like cycle through that part a whole bunch of times, start that measure of D that same way with a bass note. Don't do what I just told you to do a minute ago, which is 4 strums on the D chord. That's not how it's really going to work. It's going to be a bass note and 3 strums.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 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 It's gonna. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um. All right.
That's
Okay.
looking really good. I mean, you're making a lot of progress on
Uh,
that one too. Pretty cool. Yeah.
uh, a happy song for.
Yeah.
I know here it's a nice one to play anytime.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's where we are here,
Okay.
and so um, I think just moving forward here,
Yeah. The other
Norwegian Wood and
Yeah, the other one I'm thinking of, and both of these I have lessons at the site, so you could check that you could get the lessons and get the tab from there, or I could send them to you right now. The other one I'm thinking of that's pretty cool is Dear Prudence, as a finger
oh,
picking one,
yeah,
and it's got a really cool. It's pretty repetitive. It's in drop D tuning.
mhm, okay, yeah, I know how to, yeah.
Yeah,
How do I actually do that?
the way you're doing it sounds pretty good. How'd that sound so far? Let me hear again. Yeah. And now a way to compare it for sure, first of all, you've got a tuner that can tell you if it's a D probably
Right.
too, but that's the best thing is first, just get it close by ear like that. And if you want to really compare it, the thing is we're trying to hear an octave there, right? But you also can compare the 12th fret harmonic on the 6th string is an octave above the 6th string. So the 12th fret, go to the 12th.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and hit, have we talked ever about harmonics or you know anything about them?
Oh, I know, yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay. So that is exactly this same pitch when they're in tune.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah. So, because what the 12th fret does, well, the 12th fret is always an octave above open on any note, right? That's the definition of, the
right.
engineering of the guitar, right? And the 12th fret is the easiest place to get a harmonic, and it's exactly the same as the pitch at the 12th fret.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
Okay.
how you get that. Yeah. Um, okay. Play a D chord.
Yeah.
And this is the finger picking pattern is kind of unusual here. It's almost what would happen. It's going to be 3 fingers, and the bass pattern is going to be 5, 4, 6, 4. Yeah, and then the finger patterns are going to be you're going to pinch the first string on the first beat. So it's a pinch on the first beat. Then the second bass note is followed by your index finger. Did we ever talk about Dust in the Wind or Landslide or any of those types of
Yeah,
songs?
I think we probably have. Yeah, that is it that pattern?
It's that pattern. It's a pinch on one and then fingers following bass note beats 2 and 3.
Okay. Okay.
So
So the pinch on one is
it's the first string.
okay. But you said, am I playing that with
Ring finger, yeah.
ring finger? Yeah. So it's
Yeah, 5th string in the bass though.
okay.
Right. Then the 4th string followed by your index finger. Thumb first.
Oh, okay. So I'm going.
Yeah, and then that has to be an 8th note, so it has to be pretty quick. Right. Then we're back to the 3rd bass note, which is going to be the 6th string. followed by your second finger.
Okay. So it's.
And then just the last bass note. One more thumb.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's.
Exactly. Really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Yeah. Right, start again. Make sure the first bass note's the fifth string. Again, fifth string every time. Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. So it's pinch. Okay.
That's it. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Let me dig up a couple of pieces of things for you here. And what's the other one? Oh. Okay, so I just sent over the tab to these two things in the chat part of this. Like if you open up chat down at the bottom,
Yeah, I see that.
you should see these two files, Dear Prudence and Norwegian Wood.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And those are just PDFs that I think if you click on them, they'll open in preview or
Okay.
or something like that.
Okay.
And so what I would do with Dear Prudence, just start with the introduction because it's a whole bunch of chords up the neck. Something like that, a bunch of chords descending down the neck, all with that same picking pattern.
Okay.
And then during the main part of the verse, it's just this same D pattern and the bass descends. So the bass goes from A in the bass on the first chord to C in the bass on the second chord. And the rest of the chord stays the same. It's all still a D chord, but with C in the bass. Now, that's a logistics, it's a difficult chord to play sometimes because you need to keep those three notes all on and get C in the bass. Now, you might be able to get it with your fourth finger. This is how John Lennon did it. But there's a really good chance that you're going to kill some strings. This is a hard one to get all those notes clear. You need all 6 strings clear on that. But if that one works for you, that's a good way to try it.
Okay.
The other choice is turn your first finger into a bar.
Yeah.
Take your second finger off and make a bar, and then use your second finger for the C. Yeah. Okay. So those are the two choices. So this is just D. The first chord we're going to call D/A because we played A in the bass on the first beat. So D with A in the bass.
Right.
Now we have D with C in the bass. Right. And that's 2 of the choices. There are other possibilities, but those are the 2 I want you to start with. Okay.
Okay.
And then the bass has to go to B next. And what you do for this is easy because you're going to be able to let go of the third string. The third string can go open. So your first finger just moves to B, right? And then it moves to B flat. So it drops down a fret, right? That's the whole sequence. Let me play through it once so you can hear. But what we hear, so this is what you're going to hear. If I finger it the other way with my fourth finger, the B in the bass, the B flat in the bass. So that's the main, that's 80% of the song is just running through that little 4-chord sequence.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, so take a look at both of those, and the Norwegian Wood one would be, you know, again with a pick. I better look at that tab and make sure it's what I told you about. Oops, not there. Let's look at. Oh yeah, so the tab for Norwegian Wood does have all the flashy embellishments on it. Or it has a couple of them, like the hammer on, actually there's only one or two. So it looks like the tab has more information than I would usually care about. Like it has all the strums in it, you know,
Okay.
and but I think you get more out of trying to do it almost by ear, looking back at where I played it, you know, 40 minutes ago or something at the beginning of the video. Okay.
Okay.
So why don't you make that plan A, is try to figure Norwegian Wood out by ear just from what you saw me play.
Okay.
Okay. All of the notes are easy to reach with the D chord on.
Okay. So it's in 3/4 time, which I'll be able to hear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, let me go ahead and play it one more time for you, like right here, so you'll know it'll be at the end of the video.
Okay.
Okay, so Norwegian Wood. Oh, one last thing, they do it a whole step higher. So if you listen to the recording, they're in E, basically capoed. No reason to do that necessarily. Here's our 3/4 kind of feel. I'll slow down, and here's the melody we're looking for. One more time with a little more strumming.
Okay.
Okay. Think you maybe be able to piece it together from that?
I think so.
Okay.
So that and Dear Prudence, great. Hope maybe by next week no, we'll still be in jail next week, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
But I did a lesson. I'll turn off the recorder now here, but let's see, stop.